Inspired Nation. Hope everybody's having a fantastic week so far. It's time for our tips, Tuesday's tips at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes and allow some people to jump on here. Today we're going to talk about some things that could potentially sabotage us as we begin to grow our business. I'm going to send out some invites here to have some people join us on here this morning. If you're joining us or you're watching this on replay, make sure you tell us your celebration, something that you'd like to celebrate, a milestone that you've accomplished. It could be something as simple as that you're getting to sit and enjoy a cup of coffee this morning. Maybe you tackled something that you've been trying to overcome for the last couple of weeks, or something you're doing to grow your business. It's actually, you're seeing light at the end of the tunnel, or maybe you're able to check that milestone right on off. So let's share some celebrations. How many of you have done strategy sessions? Something we've been talking about here on Inspired Nation. Tell us about your strategy sessions where you've been able to connect with another business professionals and share your information on how they can help you grow your business and where you've learned how to grow theirs. Tell us who you've done a strategy session with. Go ahead and tag them. And if you want to take it to that next step, which we always encourage, tell us something that you learned about their business, something that when you walked away from there, you were more equipped in knowing how, to go through that wanting, willing, and able stage to help refer them. So we're looking for just communication this morning. I've got a different type topic that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about those things that sabotage us, things that can sneak up. And sometimes they're not even things that you're doing. We're not talking about just self-sabotage. We're talking about the people that you surround yourself with and how they can potentially, without you realizing it, sabotage the path that you're on, or at least the momentum that you're trying to build. I'm going to make sure I've got two screens up because I want to make sure and answer questions. And I know that sometimes that's always a challenge on here for me to see everything that's going on. So there we go. So good morning, Abby and Julia. It's good to have you guys on here. The Inspired Strategist team, we've been busy. We've kicked off our October term for our new students. And, while we're jumping on board and helping them get acclimated, we've also have opened up our November term, so we can start taking registrations for our November term. So we'll have some more information out there. In fact, I spent some time last night putting together our fall discounts so that we can help celebrate you guys going into the holidays, because I know what it's like to have to make those choices going through the holidays where you need to have a budget for that gift giving season, groceries, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's the time of year where you need to be thinking about what do you need to do for your business. And so we recognize that, and we want to be able to help you guys be able to have both. So we're going to be able to do that. So this morning, if you're jumping on, one of the things I want to talk about is the things that can sabotage you. And and I really wanted to come up from the people that are potentially, it could be, we call these our connect the dots in the very beginning. These were our negative dots, but we've added to them. And these are things that can hold us back. So let's just start with our traditional dots that were, we've been sharing for quite some time. The first one is negative Ned. So this is definitely something that I always tell everybody. You need to look at yourself, but also look at the people that are around you, the people that we're considering, whether they're in your inner circle or they're in your network. A negative Ned is somebody that we say when they walk into the room, they just suck the fun right out, right? Like instead of showing up as their best self, instead of showing up with a smile and a positive attitude, it's almost like they walk in the room looking for things to complain about, or when given a chance to, to tell everybody how they can help them, they find the negative things to bring up about their business. And so negative Neds are people that you'll find, I have found in all the years that I've been training referral marketing, like kind attracts like kind. So believe it or not, negative Neds have their own audience, okay? They have their own network, their own inner circle. They will attract other people who want to complain, other people who want to find fault. They can sometimes sneak up on you, is that sometimes people will come in and be a part of a group, and I've seen this in the past where they'll come in and you don't even realize that they're being negative, right? You don't even realize that they're being negative. They're maybe the one that never volunteers to be on a committee, right? I remember this years ago, I used to put together a huge charity golf tournament. And, you know, you'd always have the ones that never wanted to volunteer for anything. And then when it came time, you know, for the event to actually happen or the event was over, they were the first ones to tell you everything that they would have done different. Or, you know, in the midst of trying to build that momentum to tell everybody about what program's going to be about or what we're about, they're the ones that are secretly behind the scene, you know, sabotaging everything that can happen. Watch this. This can sabotage, especially if you're you know, building a group. It can happen internally with your company. You know, these are things that you need to watch for, because negative attitude is just like putting that apple in the bushel. It can create more negative effects, and so you've got to make sure and remove that from yourself. Now, sometimes it's not like you can walk into a room and say, you got to go, but it is more about your choice. Who are you holding a conversation with? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you doing strategy sessions with? Or do you feel uplifted when you leave that person, or do you feel down? And that's always that really good test, is whether or not someone makes you feel great about where you're going with your business, or is this someone who, when you leave, you were better off before you sat down with them? I find that, you know, it's just real important to recognize who those negative Neds are. And if you're a positive person, the last thing you want to do is have that drained, you know, drained out of you. So remember to watch who you're surrounding yourself with. The second one we talked about is this one guy, and when we showed this, we typically have our dots up. And this guy's, he's, you know, he's spinning all around, and he doesn't know which way he's going. So this is someone that inside your network, or it could even be you, that they're always running. Maybe you see them at every networking event out there. They're constantly, you know, chasing and chasing their tail is what I say. You know, they're twisted and turned, and every little thing, you know, they want to run across the room, meet this person, meet this person, meet this person. Or it could be you hear this show up in their words, you know, such as time management. I never have time to do this, or I'm overwhelmed, and I don't have time to focus, or I never get to finish. You know, so these are things that, you know, it's easy to recognize in other people, but sometimes they can sneak up on us. And so we're calling him Twisty Ted, right? So he's that one that you know, just never can get things together. And, you know, I always say this is also that person who's at networking events, and they're it's like the 52 card shuffle. They're handing their business cards out as fast as possible. They're the butterfly effect, right? They're flittering everywhere, but they're never landing anywhere. And this person, you know, it always amazes me how this person will come to me and they'll say, you know, I never have traction. You know, I never have traction with my business. And because, you know, the thing is that when it comes to referral marketing, you know, it is a relationship-based form of growing your business. So if you never stay anywhere to actually have a real conversation with someone, then what's happening is you're going to have to rely on other things to grow your business rather than the relationship piece of growing your business, which of course is developing potential referral partners, people who are wanting, willing, and able to actually refer you, to recommend or introduce you. So you want to make sure that if you're kind of feeling twisted and turned and you're trying, time management is your issue, then, stop and take a deep breath, prioritize your task, okay? Prioritize your task. And so we're going to talk about, in the next Tuesday tips, we're going to talk about the things that you can do to eradicate some of these negative sabotage activities or personal traits you might have in order to move yourself forward. So another one, and we have a nickname for my youngest son, and it's ever since he was little. He would start, we'd get in the car and this would happen. He'd start with, I got a question. I got a question. And he's always been very, inquisitive, which is great, but we nicknamed him IGAC. Okay, I got a question. And he's kept that nickname forever and ever and ever, probably always will. But this is what I think about when I think about this next dot is this is the person who has more questions than they have answers. And it's not that this person is like you have to completely stay away from them, but I think you need to recognize where you're at in your business. If you're trying to figure things out, then always say you want to play up. Surround yourself with people who have already figured it out so that you can learn from them, so that you hopefully can navigate the path a little bit quicker and maybe not even go through and have some of the, the hiccups that maybe they did, because they can share with you. When you're surrounding yourself with someone who's trying to learn just as fast as you are, recognize that for what it is, that relationship may create a different type of relationship. Maybe you bond in a different way because you're learning together, but you may not be moving forward because of each other. In fact, if you find yourself moving forward and this person's still back here questioning every little thing, just be careful, because you could find yourself being sucked into, I call the time warp, where you're putting so much time into helping someone else that you're not actually getting to work on your own business. And so you just kind of want to watch that. I'm all about mentoring and helping people, but there's a time management issue there. So if you find yourself always in the mode where you're the one teaching and you're the one training and you're not having anyone dump into you, then you need to think about who you're surrounding yourself with. Do you need to actually, incorporate some people that you're learning from, so that you can continue to move forward? Now, the person who has all the questions, always say, as long as they're learning and they're continuously moving, there's nothing wrong with mentoring someone, because the loyalty to you is there. They recognize, or they should recognize, that you help them get where they're at. And so that can be powerful on down the road as they get their feet underneath them and you're moving forward and they're moving forward, especially if that's a potential referral partnership. Then that loyalty can stay in place for years and years and years. And of course, it can be a beautiful thing when it comes to referral marketing. Here's a couple of new dots we're gonna be adding out there. And what we're saying is that these are really things that, again, these may not be you, but you'll recognize them in other people in your network. And I'm going to call this one Flip-Flop Fred, okay? This is one that every time you see them, I feel like they're flipping, flopping. You never know what you're going to get. And that makes it really, really hard to refer you if every time someone sees you, they hear a different message, or a different business, or a different adventure, or a different, this is what I think I'm going to do today. And then the next time you see them, it's like, no, this is who I am today. And they're constantly flipping and flopping and flipping and flopping. And therefore, there's no traction that can actually happen with their business. And so, that is something that I find that I've seen this sometimes with some clients, or people that come up to me and they're like, I just don't understand, I'm not getting referrals. And, and I'll ask them, can I be very transparent with you? And they'll say, yes. I was like, no one knows what you are each week from one week to another. And that is a very dangerous place, because the whole thing about referral marketing is association. When you hear me say this, I want you to think of me. Therefore, when you hear someone else say this or see this or do this, I want you to think of me. And if we can't, if you can't have everyone within a very short piece be able to say exactly what you do and who your target market is and how they can refer you, then you need to slow down. All right. There's this fear that if you don't tell everybody everything that you do, then you're going to miss that opportunity to grow your business. And I'm going to challenge you on that thought process. And I'm certainly not the first person to ever say this. Stop. Quit trying to grab all of the business. Get known for one thing. Get known to be an expert in one area. And when you do that, that's where you'll see your referrals grow. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be in another group and wear your other hat over there and be the expert in that other part of your business, because it makes more sense in this other group to be known for, whatever it is you're flip-flopping back and forth on. So that's just something to think about there. Another one that I find is someone who is undecisive, and I haven't named him yet. So if you guys want to help me name our undecisive dot, this is someone who just can't pull the trigger. I mean, they can't make a decision. They can't make a decision on, what they want to do. I've literally worked with people on the design side of what we do on the branding side, and something as simple as just picking a color, for their logo is a challenge for them. I mean, they will agonize over it, and they will change it, and they will change it. And I sit there sometimes and go, man, we could have had this done. You could have been up. We could have been going. And so it's not that they won't necessarily get there in the future. It's like, look at how much time was taken in order to get there. So, if you're that person who is so hard for you to make a decision about, things, try to, my suggestion to you is, go with your gut. And if you can't trust your gut feeling, then have a support team. Take it to people that you trust and do a survey, or go to them, and then don't second guess that. Like, stick with it, own it, and move forward. I'm taking a class right now, and I just love the fact that one of the things he says is that it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just have to be doing something, like moving forward. Okay. And I think that's the thing, is that we're chasing perfection. And maybe that's another dot. Chasing, we got Mr. Undecided, maybe Miss Perfect, where we're chasing perfection. And because we're chasing perfection, we never are satisfied with what we have here, with the steps that we've made forward. And it's really hard when you're chasing perfection to actually look back and recognize the milestones that you've accomplished and be proud of that, and be able to say, this is what I've done. This is how far I've come. These are the things that I'm doing. And, I always find that's pretty sad, because, I never want to look back on the things that I've done. Not every step I've taken has been, the right step. Some of them have been backward steps. I always say where I'm at today is where I'm meant to be. And I want to be able to look back over my career span, over my lifespan, and be able to say, you know what, it was a great ride. It was a bumpy ride sometimes, but it was a great ride. And I'd hate to think that by striving for perfection, people would look back and just be so discontent with what they've accomplished that they actually failed to accomplish anything, right? And that's just such a sad place. And then, of course, the last one that we've been putting together is, I always think about this one here, when this is that person, I just say, they're just mean. All right. I mean, they just do things because they're just not a nice person. And I always say that they're the two-face, okay? So two-face. In front of you, they're nice and they're happy or whatever, but as soon as you're gone, they're just mean and they're negative and they create chaos in your world. This is someone that can sneak up on you. You think they're friendly and they think they're on fire, but really behind your back, they're you know, not just behind your back, but behind maybe the group's back, behind your network, your inner circle, your clients, your family. You know, this person shows up in a bunch of different ways. And so you just want to be aware that this is someone that potentially they're not ultimately on your team. And so again, it's about making those positive choices out there. And, you know, there's all different kind of things out there that can sabotage your business. And, you know, one of the things that I always tell everybody is you got to be able to recognize them in order to begin to eradicate from what you're doing. I mean, we could come up with all kind of, we could come up with jealousy. We could come up with technology. How about technology, you know, being a negative? Sometimes, you know, just learning things that are completely out of your control. So we're going to be coming up with the Inspired Villains. And this is inspired by a course that I'm taking because I love the theory behind it. I love the theory that if we can recognize negative traits, then and own them for what they are, that they're sometimes it could be a temporary negative trait or it could be a permanent negative trait. But if we can recognize what they are, then maybe sometimes it's easier for us to begin to recognize, are we exhibiting those qualities, and what can we do to stop that, so that we can potentially surround ourselves with people who want to be a part of our success story, or people that we want to be a part of their success story. We can't figure out why it is that they're running away from us, right, versus coming to us. So we're going to come up with the Inspired Villains, which means that we have to have inspired superheroes. So that's what we're going to talk about next Tuesday, are all the positive traits and positive things that you want to be moving forward, and who that is. And of course, what is the antidotes of when you're trying to be positive and you find yourself surrounded with negative, with the villains. And so we're gonna work on this over the next couple of Tuesdays. And of course, if you think of things that have sabotaged your business, and then of course we'd love to have you share with us here, you know, as we begin to name these and showcase them. We're going to start telling you guys what they are, and then of course we're going to share our superheroes, and then what our anti-serum, or whatever it is we decide to call it, that will help us, the antidotes, there we go, the antidotes that will help us overcome those things that are negative out there, that are keeping us from our success story. And ultimately, that's what we want you guys to do, is to move forward towards your goals. So this concludes today. I don't know if it was that much of a tip as much as it was an awareness. So I love coming on here every Tuesday and sharing, just sharing some different thoughts on things that I've seen over the years, working with professionals, working with groups, and things that sometimes without you realizing it can sneak up and just sabotage your success story. And we're going to try to identify them and then eradicate them. So I'm Amy D. Kilpatrick. I'm the president of Nspired Business Solutions, and I hope you guys have a fantastic Tuesday. And as always, remember to go out and inspire others.